between these little football matchups we have here every weekend in the NFL. We'll be monitoring all things Orioles as they head to Fenway Park and, of course, back home to Camden Yards this weekend. Luke Jones will be on the scene. I got a guy that's on the scene for all things Bills and watched as many Buffalonians did in some level of despair at a 13-7 loss to begin the season. He's a longtime chronicler of all things Buffalonian sports at the Associated Press and his work platforms at WNST.net as well. You can follow him out on Twitter at John_Warrow. That's WAWROW. He has a wonderful CD from the replacements, the Mats, the boys, as they say, out on Twitter. We welcome one of our defending champions, John, back in from Buffalo. Man, tough start for Rex and the Bills, right? I mean, I expected the Ravens to win, but I expected the Bills to be a little bit more formidable than that.
It was a dud. It was an absolute dud on Sunday, and that's the only way you can explain it from an offensive standpoint. You know, this supposed Tyrod Taylor supposed to be more comfortable entering his second season as the Bills quarterback and making his big homecoming after being in Baltimore for the first 4 years of his career. 160 yards. That's the fewest a Bills offense has produced in a decade. And
wow.
There's been some bad offenses over that stretch, and that was just not completely unexpected.
Well,
no one anticipated it.
Well, I give the Ravens a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because it looked like they were flying to the ball. And the big story here for this week, at least, and Luke wrote about it at WNST.net as well, is just the speed of the defense looked like it had been ramped up to some semblance of the Ray Lewis era in the way they were flying to the ball. That being said, Tyrod Taylor looked like he was running for his life. That offensive line has to be the story in Buffalo leading up to this Jets game, and I think every week because they need to run the football. There's no doubt about that, and they need that offensive line to be better.
Well, the problem is that they never threaten the Ravens deep to try to soften up their defense. They were running against like 9 and 10 men in the box. So obviously, I don't know how much you can put on the offensive line at this point, given the fact that they got no help from Tyrod Taylor in trying to expand the field. He looked, and this is not a compliment, he looked like Trent Edwards out there. And that's not, and Trent's like 5 years removed, but he was noted as Captain Checkdown here in Buffalo. And Tyrod Taylor for this we know he had a big play offense last year, didn't try once to go down the field except for the one time he eluded the pass rush and got that ball down to Clay. But otherwise, it was, the conservative approach is something that really is baffling, given the fact that this was supposed to be a team. Well, this was a team last year that led the league in plays 20 yards or longer.
Well, they also ran the ball effectively. And, you
right.
can see Shady McCoy. But, again, I mean, there was havoc in that backfield, especially when he's running behind the line of scrimmage backwards. And guys were actually catching him, which is something that, we have not seen that sort of defensive penetration here the last couple of years. And I guess it begins up front with Brandon Williams winning a lot of matchups up in front.
No, I understand that. Why they used Reggie Bush as LaShawn McCoy's primary backup was also confusing, because Reggie there's no 1-2 punch there. Which is what the Bills had last year. I mean, Carlos Williams was a downhill, straight ahead runner, and the Bills' offense is exposed for lacking something like that. And it looks like they're bringing Jerome Belton back to be a fullback to assist the run game. But this offense, which was supposed to be the team's strength, given the number of injuries on defense and the suspension of Marcel Darius, that was not a good showing, no matter who you were playing against. And Baltimore's defense did look very sound. And now they go up against a Jets defense on Thursday night, which is very good against the run as well, and lots of question marks.
Well, certainly the Jets got after Andy Dalton in a loss and pushed him around a whole lot. Tyrod, for me, I would have expected him to tuck the ball and run a little bit more. He didn't look like he wanted to do that, and I know the Ravens' defense was going to collapse on him. They wanted to make him a passer. There were some times late in the game where maybe Suggs over-pursued and Taylor could get outside of the box, so to speak, and take off. But I expected Tyrod to have 10 or 12 sort of runs that were optioned where he could pick up 6 or 8 yards and make it a 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 2. I didn't see that style of offense from Tyrod, and that part of it sort of shocked me a little bit that he didn't look like he wanted to run.
There was a complete hesitancy to that offense. And, you hear the Bills players say they never got a rhythm, but they never had a chance to get into the rhythm because, they were playing into the Ravens' defensive strength. You've got to pass. I spotted Marquise Goodwin, who is the speedster that the Bills have, and they just can't seem to incorporate him into the offense. He was on the field, and yet, you want to throw that deep pass. Tyrod's got, even if you overthrow him just to keep that defense honest, but it just seemed that the Bills played right into the Ravens' wheelhouse and allowed the Ravens to essentially manhandle them at the line of scrimmage, given what the Bills did and didn't do.
He is John Morrow, covering all things Bills and all things Buffalo sports for the Associated Press and the AP in Buffalo. His work does appear at WNST.net as part of our morning newspaper from time to time as well. And that's brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's still $10 a month to get in shape. You can find John out on Twitter as well at John_Warrow. That's WAWROW. And I guess to the Ravens offense and the Bills defense, I'm very impressed by Gilmore on the edge, and I guess a lot of people will be impressed. He looked like the best player on their team at various points, and I know the Ravens had 10 different receivers, lots of guys like Pitta and Smith and Perryman with that first circus catch that he had out there running around for the first time in a long time, and just trying to prove health and really trying to get some sort of incorporation for the offense where Flacco hasn't even worked with most of these guys for any extended period of time. And there was a little bit of a fire drill going on at various points in the game, John. But by and large, I thought the Ravens offense got some things done, ended with field goals a couple of times. But, I was impressed that the Baltimore offense is something that's going to grow here. Now, defensively for the Bills, I thought it left a little bit to be desired.
They missed some tackles, but they did hold Baltimore to 13 points. Obviously they were running out the clock at the end of the game, and they needed the Bills needed to stop there. But, from a Bills perspective, the defense was the bright spot of that game, given how greatly it unraveled last year. And despite the fact it's missing three starters, so the fact that they limited the Ravens to 13 points and they got 4 sacks, let me tell you, last year, the Bills never got more than 2 sacks in a game, and they set a franchise low with 21 sacks last season in a 16-game season. So there were some promising things to come out on defense, despite the missed tackles and the blown coverage, that it played more cohesively, and that is a promising thing given the fact of how poorly that defense played last year at times.
John, you worried about the Bills?
Pardon me?
You worried about the Bills?
Well, that was not a game. If the Bills want to be playoff contenders, they need to beat the Ravens, and I'm sure the Ravens think that understand the same thing. And now they enter a stretch in which they've got a short turnaround against the Jets. Then they host the Cardinals, and then they travel to New England. There is now fear that this team could open 1-3 at best, 0-4 at worst, and here we go. It's already a 16-season playoff drought. Number 17 seems to be on its way. Too many factors are now conspiring against the Bills, and now Sammy Watkins is limping. The injuries, the suspensions. This is all catching up to a team at a time when it needs a lot of help, and not a lot is helping them right now.
Well, the left tackle situation's got to be the most concerning part of this in replacing Cordy Glenn.
Right, because Chantrell Henderson, who was starting at right tackle, he's suspended for 4 games, and he's coming off Crohn's surgery, so there's that. And it's just I don't know. It seems as if the Bills need to rediscover their offensive identity at a time when they thought they had it. And that is disturbing because the offense, like I said, was the most impressive part of its team last year. And now they seem to be back at square one. And if Sammy Watkins and his surgically repaired left foot is 100%, I'm not sure where they can go because LaShawn McCoy can't do it alone, and he showed that yesterday.
We are chatting with John Warrow, all things Bills as well as the Sabres. It's almost hockey season, John, right? I mean, I'm seeing Barry Trotz bang around. It's September. They're dropping the puck down there at Kettler. It's almost that time of the year as well, and I know people in Buffalo love the Sabres.
Yes, very much so, and this is a big year for Buffalo's other pro team, the Sabres, because they're coming off of an encouraging start after bottoming out, the previous two seasons. The fact that they were competitive and close last season, looking more of a team and establishing a core, there are expectations that this team must be in the playoff hunt in the final weeks of the season. I'm not sure if they can sneak into that playoff into the playoffs yet. There's still some question marks at goal in particular. But this is a team that has begun building a core of players that is supposed to take them to the playoffs and become a contender. So there's a lot of anticipation on the Sabres, and if the Bills were 0-4, then the Sabres are going to be the most popular team in town.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. I mean, we're in a really weird spot here, John. We got the Orioles playing in Boston this week, homecoming
Right.
They got 10 games. They're in the thick of this. People are not going to the Oriole games, and I've been blogging about that. I'm writing about that this week as well because the attendance is way, way down, especially being in a race. But when you fall out of it and when the Bills sort of, tumble here, I know last year the Ravens tumbled early. Obviously, Flacco got hurt. The season was gone to hell. I mean, everybody started looking at Terps basketball. You're not that far off of that in Buffalo at this point, man. I mean, I am very, very concerned for the Rex era up there in Buffalo because you need players. And what I saw on Sunday is they don't have their left tackle. Their speedster's not there. The quarterback, I like Tyrod, but he's not an elite quarterback. And you're building a lot of parts there. And those draft picks missing and Darius, that stuff conspires. You can't replace talented football players. You don't have them, you don't win.
The only word of caution is that I'm going against the grain with the popular national belief that Rex Ryan is on the hot seat. This thing is really going to have to unravel for the Pagulas to change gears at this point. Rex was their first major hire. He came in, after Doug Marrone essentially quit the team, and the Pagulas believe in continuity. I still believe there's a better chance that Rex and Doug Whaley, the general manager, are here for one more season.
No matter the outcome. If they're 2-14, really?
If they're 2-14, then let's see how they get there. But it's going to have to be a complete unraveling for that to happen. And I'm not sure if they're going to be 2-14 because I think this defense. I think Rex's defense he's reestablished it. He's reestablished it. The players are buying in, and I think this team might have to win more games on defense this year than obviously it did last year.
They got to keep people on the field, no doubt about it. John, we'll be following you, man. I appreciate all the work and the visits here, and, of course, John's work platforms at WNST.net as part of the Associated Press and our partnership there. You can follow him out on Twitter at John_Warrow. That's WAWROW. We don't get together often enough. Always enjoy your time, and appreciate you stopping by, man.
Thanks, Nestor.
You got it. John Warrow up in Buffalo with the mighty replacements, as he has on his Twitter page as well, covering all things for the Sabres and the Bills. We're covering the Orioles all week long. Fenway Park, we'll be watching on our Twitter and social media. Any breaking news comes you first on the WNST text service. That is all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. We're going to welcome Eric Weddle out next week to Adams Jeep in Aberdeen and do a little swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry. And for There Goes My Hero, should be a big, beautiful evening of fun up in Harford County there as we're trying to save more lives and getting to know Eric Weddle a little bit too. So that's going to be exciting. Don't forget as well, our morning newspaper hits your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That is brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. And anything you miss here, you can find in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. Nasty at WNST.net finds me, whether it's Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook Live. We're streaming as well as on our WNSTV YouTube channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Taos in Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.